Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that's Connor, and we're going to talk about Taboo, Season 1, Episode 2. Full spoilers for the episode, as always. Connor, you liked Episode 1. I wasn't that keen on it. How did you like Episode 2?
About the same. I didn't like it anymore. I don't know. I feel like a lot of the same problems are still there.
I would agree. I did not like this anymore than the first one. I didn't
I
necessarily.
don't, yeah, I don't think I liked it any less. I think I'm on a similar level.
Yeah, I would agree. I didn't like it any less than the last one. Unfortunately, I was in a relatively negative place in the last one. So
Yeah, but at least it didn't get worse.
that is true. That is a positive. Uh, yeah, I'm kind of in the same place where I think there's some decent moments in there, but the overall, I think the pacing of each scene just is really plodding for me, and
I get that.
kind of everything I said last week. To be honest, I don't know if I want to repeat all of it, but that's kind of where I am.
I feel a very similar place where I did last week. Like, I think it's good. There's some good stuff in there. There's moments I really like, but there are like the pacing is an issue, and there's just some stuff that's not entirely clicking.
Yeah, I feel there's a lot of stuff we're told about other people, and we don't really get to see a lot of things in terms of. So,
Yeah.
as a result of that, it's hard to get invested in a lot of the characters.
I agree because I mean, even last week I said I'm not invested in any of the characters. I like some of them, but I wasn't invested, and it was the plot that had me intrigued. I'm not sure this one delivered on the intrigue.
The plot didn't really advance all that much.
It didn't, because the whole thing from last week that was like getting me intrigued was they had this plot to kill him, and take over through that way. And this whole episode was just them going, yeah, we're going to kill him. I swear, we're going to do it.
Yeah, and Hardy knows they're going to kill him, and then he's kind of waiting for it all episode, and then when it happens at the end, he just kind of fights him off. He gets stabbed, but he.
To be fair, I actually really like that moment at the end.
Oh yeah, that was the one time where it felt like the camera perked up a little bit. I didn't really.
Yeah.
Because the rest of it felt very, very straightforward.
It did, and it got real visceral. I mean, he bit him.
He did bite him, yeah. But
He went and bit his neck like a goddamn vampire.
that is legitimately the best moment of the show.
And he pulls a chunk out. Like you can see, it's not just like a bite mark. You can see a chunk of his throat is missing, and there's blood spurting out. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. It is the one time it felt alive. It felt like things were happening.
Ironically, as he's potentially dying.
Well, sure,
Well,
but he's
yeah,
not.
okay, he's not gonna die, but
It's episode 2. He's going to be around.
yeah, all right.
So the big things that happened in this episode then. What did we have here? We had a widow appear and claim that she married his dad before he died, and therefore she can challenge for everything that his dad left him.
I'm a little bit confused about this actually, because why? I would get like, okay, he dies, it goes to her, but he left a will explicitly stating it goes to the son. So don't they just follow the will first? And it's only if it's not in the will and it's unclear, then it goes to the nearest relative, in this case, her.
Yeah, they did make a point of mentioning when he read the will that he was a widower. There was no one for it to go to.
Yeah,
so
that's because it was a surprise.
So I wonder if it was I wonder if the will even said like, if I'm not married, if.
Perhaps.
I'm kind of just filling that in myself though, based on the fact that he specified that there wasn't one, so that when she stepped up, it was like, oh right, okay. Which honestly, I didn't really like that development. It felt very hokey the way she kind of stepped forward.
I agree. By the way, she left it till the end, and I was like, oh yeah, here we are.
Everyone lined up, and then she stepped forward and started a little prattle about it.
Yeah, and then obviously we knew she was an actress, so I assumed she was hired by East India.
That's what I thought. Yeah,
it seemed not, because they seemed surprised by it.
I don't think they are surprised by it.
Well, okay, they said, "Oh, it's an opportunity," but I'm not sure. It didn't seem like they'd planted it though.
I think they did. I just don't think it's all of them that are in on it. I think the head honcho. I think
Yeah,
Strange.
but even he didn't play it like he was in on it. He just feels like he was told about it from the other, the guy who was reading the will.
I don't know if I agree. I actually think it seemed like he might have knew.
Okay, because obviously some time passed at this point, right, between those scenes.
Yeah, because they've already checked. They've already got the back from Dublin, like the
Right,
certificate.
so
They've
some
already
time
checked
passed. So during that time, I I figured that's when he learned and kind of filled in the rest of this plan. I didn't get the impression that he'd planted her in the first place.
Maybe. It was too smug about it. It felt like he'd put this in motion.
Well, I don't know why, because that's just more work for him, surely. Because if they killed Hardy, it would go to his sister anyway, and they already had the deal in place for that.
True, maybe this is cheaper. Maybe they're only paying this actress X amount.
Well, that's fair. Maybe it is cheaper, but it
Because
just seems like more work than it's worth.
because the sister, like, they were having to pay her for the land, like, properly pay her for it.
Yeah,
As opposed to where the actress is like, nah, we'll pay you a couple of hundred for doing
yeah,
this.
maybe.
And,
That's possible.
yeah. Of course, the actress could turn around and blow the whole thing if she's not happy, but...
Yeah, just keep the lot. That's why I feel like it's more work than it's worth. They've got to deal with the sister. Why risk it? It's a real gamble for a little bit of extra money.
Yeah.
And they don't seem like they're short on cash.
And the other big thing that happened in this episode was he meets a girl named Winter who says she's from the whorehouse, but she's not one of the whores. And she informs him of someone trying to kill him. This is how he finds out, actually, that I'm thinking about it. And she says, "Oh, I know where they might be," and she leads him to this ship. She takes him onto the water, and he goes into the ship. He takes all his clothes off. Oh, no, sorry.
Yeah.
Does he take, actually no? Is it this scene he takes his clothes off? Because there's two scenes in a ship.
Oh, this is the burning one.
Yeah, this is the burning one. He takes the clothes off in the other one. Aye, quite right. But he sets it on fire, and when he gets back, the girl's gone. And I'm like, all right. Oh, she kind of felt like she might be imaginary the whole time. To be honest, it kind of had that.
It did have that sort of, oh, there's a random girl just pop up.
Yeah, and delivered all this wonderful exposition for him. Very convenient, that. But when he goes to see the mistress of the whorehouse,
Madam,
sure. I don't want to say
like
pimp.
that's the correct term.
I
think it's a madam.
Yeah, I feel like pimp is incorrect in this
I
instance.
don't know. For some reason, madam is sticking in my head, but I'm not entirely sure why.
But he goes to her and he's like, "Oh, girl named Winter. I bet she's your daughter, and that's why you don't whore her out like you do everyone else. That's why you keep her pure, because it's your daughter. You don't want her to do that." And she never actually, the way she plays it is if she never actually confirms she exists, which is why it still makes you think, oh, she might not exist.
She might not. I don't know. Do you know what the problem is? As much as I'm enjoying this show more than you, I'm not sure I care either way. If she is there or not.
Yeah, you don't seem like you care at all, to be honest.
What's the thing? I still enjoyed while I was watching it. I thought it was pretty good. There was some good stuff, but I don't care enough to really dissect it. Like, oh, is she there? Is she not? Like, I'm willing to just kind of roll with it.
Of course, I think some people were actually pointing this out last week that there was some incest vibes between Hardy and his sister in this.
Yeah,
and they were actually proper. Like, even before, there's a scene at the end that confirms it, but even before that, the way they were looking at each other, I was like, oh, this is proper incest. They're right into each other. And then, of course, they have that scene out in the steps where he even mentions he talks about getting into the forest and her leaving, straight in her skirt and all that. So they confirmed that it was a thing. So yeah, anyone who called that last week, fair enough. You good job.
Yeah,
good job. Incest confirmed. Honestly, though, the biting of the neck was cool. Don't get me wrong.
I kind of like the spy stuff as well.
The spy stuff?
Yeah, where the idea that he's a spy for the Americans, and he goes to what's his name? In House of Cards, and
I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
his name escapes me now, but he goes to him, and he's like doing the code words, and he's like, "Oh, get me on the line to the president," essentially. And I don't know. I kind of like that side of things, like the which side's he playing, which I'm sure will ultimately end up being he's just playing for himself.
Yeah, probably. I think my problem is that I'm having a hard time getting a grasp on him as a character, so that stuff's not working for me as well as it is for you. I'm not. It's going to sound really harsh, but honestly, the most exciting part of the episode is when I checked how much was left, and it was only 5 minutes. I was like, oh, 5 minutes left. We're almost done.
Okay. Yeah. I do think the most exciting part was definitely the ending, though.
Yeah. Well, like I say, that happened after I checked the time, and it was only 5 minutes left. So, honestly, I struggled to get through this again. So, I'm done, basically.
No, that's fair enough. I will likely continue watching it on my own. I enjoy it well enough. I just Uh, it's not amazing. It's not. It's not what I'd hoped for when I heard, oh, you got Tom Hardy, Ridley Scott, BBC FX, all involved in this. I expected better than this, but even though I like it,
Yeah, the rating's not that great.
it's not. It's kind of just decent.
Writing's not that great. Direction's not that great. It's got high production values. It's obviously got a good cast,
Yeah, there's no arguing with like the acting or anything like that.
but it's lacking other stuff, and I think it's just
It's just kind of missing something that really sets it apart and gives it its own
it's missing a
thing.
spark. There's no
It is.
spark.
Yeah, that's pretty much the way it is. I still think the butler kind of character is my favorite.
Yeah, well, he's Scottish, so I mean, clearly he's
Well, that has nothing to do with it, I assure you.
no, you just like Scottish people, clearly. Case in point. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. I'm really considering how much do I actually like you.
a lot more than you're willing to admit.
Well,
A lot more.
we'll see about that.
Nah. Yeah. Honestly, I hate being like this. I hate because at least if I was passionately against it, if I hated it, if I thought it was terrible, I'd be waving my arms and I'd be going, "Oh, this is terrible," and I'd be picking it apart and saying why it sucks from ABC. For some examples of that, go watch some of our Arrow reviews. Go watch a review of the MacGyver pilot, where I can be passionate and hate. But the problem here is that it's not terrible. It's far from terrible. It's just middling. It's just mediocre. It's just kind of dull.
Yeah, I get that.
And it's
But
impossible
I really
to...
felt like this could have fixed a lot of the issues with especially the pacing. I thought it was maybe just an episode one problem where they were trying to introduce everything, set things up, but it does seem to be an ongoing problem, and that is kind of enough to kill ongoing actual interest if that's going to be a problem going forward. Because
Yeah.
I like it more afterwards, I think, because I think about it, it's like, and I don't have to think of the pacing of the actual scenes, which is like the worst part of it.
It's it's a struggle. Because even if I force myself through it next week, what would the point be? Because I'd come back and I'd be saying, yeah, I'm still bored. I'm still
Yeah,
it's still dull.
it's very clear that this is just what it's going to be like.
Yeah. So I don't think that serves anyone. I don't think anyone who enjoys the show would want to watch discussions about it would get anything out of me sitting here whinging and complaining
No.
when they've clearly established what the show is at this point, and I just don't like it, and that's fine. So
Yeah, which is it's why we often give things an episode 2, because sometimes it can be very mediocre in a first episode, but then it finds its feet and kind of tells you what it actually is in the second. And this just was more of the same, unfortunately, in your case.
yeah, it was exactly that. So yeah, it was kind of obviously he investigates what his dad was up to, and he's trying to find more about that. But the new widow and everything else that comes up in the assassin's kind of the main gist of the episode. So that's episode 2 of Taboo. That'll be our last review of it here on the channel. So sorry if that's disappointing, but I'm just not that into it. So thank you very much for watching. Hopefully that's not too disappointing. And like and subscribe if you want. That helps us out a lot. Let us know what you thought of this episode down in the comments below. I know some people... It was actually quite funny last week. The comments were very split as well. 50-50. There was certainly a Team Connor and Team Peter kind of mentality down there.
Which is interesting, because I don't think either of us are fighting that hard for either
We're
side.
not. Which is kind of the problem. Like, if I hated it and you loved it, this would be an interesting conversation. But I'm just kind of bored, and you're kind of...
Like, yeah, it's all right.
You're kind of, yeah, it's all right, yeah. And that makes...
It's enough that I like it enough to keep watching it.
But that makes for the least interesting conversation on the
is.
planet, because there's nothing to talk about.
It is a problem. I'd love to have a new show to fight you on, but this just isn't it.
No. So, that's Taboo. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you for other shows next time.